Hello, my name is Melissa Jackson.
Hi, my name's Holly Evers Hughes.
My name is Crystal Turner.
My name is Jay Breeze. I'm with the Jacksonville Rough Riders.
Hi, my name is Tanya Love. I am the CEO of No Weapon Shall Prosper Incorporated.
I am the mother of Corbin Johnson. July of 2018, my 18-year-old son went missing on the 12th of July 2018. After coming from leaving a job interview, he left home, and I received a call when I got home from work saying that Corbin was missing. His friends called me to tell me that he was missing. A whole year later, on July the 12th, 2019, my son's skeletal remains were found.
I'm here to share the story about two young gentlemen, Jamie and Johnny, who are my son in the middle's best friend. Back in 2001, my best friend, we met in Lama's class, unfortunately got heavy into drugs, alcohol, and then, of course, bipolar issues, and she shot and killed the twins at 4 years old. They were only 4. This is one of the last pictures I have of them. They were my son's first friends. It was probably one of the hardest things I ever went through, even though they weren't my children. And it still haunts me to this day. And this was in 2001.
And my story begins April 1st, 2015. I awoke to go to a morning session of training that included my daughter, my son, myself, and a staff member. After completing our morning training, we broke for lunch. My oldest daughter and I went to grab lunch and check on our staff at one of our daycare centers. At exactly 12 noon, my phone rang, and I identified the individual on the other line, and I said, "Hey, Tamika." On the other end, what I was greeted with was tears and screams of Miss J. Mr. D had just been shot and killed by Mr. Roy. Miss J is Janaea, my 29-year-old daughter at that time, who her staff affectionately called Miss J. Mr. D at that time was my 23-year-old son, Donnell, who the staff affectionately called Mr. D. Mr. Roy was my daughter's estranged husband, who was also employed at her place of business, which was Success Kids. He appeared in the parking lot of her business between 11:30 and 11:40. After an argument ensued, he pulled out a 9mm gun with a magazine clip and proceeded to shoot my son Donnell 3 times while he sat silently in a vehicle. He then, after a few words of argument that he exchanged with Janaea, as she ran from him, he proceeded to shoot her 4 times. This picture represents the last time Janaea and Donnell were together alive. This picture was taken the Saturday before their lives were taken, as that night we celebrated Janaea's 29th birthday and Donnell's fiance Mary's 21st birthday. This is the last physical memory I have of them together.
Gun violence is very important to be aware of, and it touches everyone in our community. I too am a victim of gun violence. I had a cousin who was tragically shot 6 times in the chest while I was on duty in the United States Army for over 22 years. He was one of many victims in my family that has been a victim of gun violence. And it's very disheartening and disturbing to myself and the rest of my family, as well as the rest of the community.
My organization was created after my son Prosper was shot and killed October 5th, 2014, just 5 days before his 18th birthday. You know, a lot of people compare me to King David in the Bible. King David was a shepherd. He was somebody who loved to write music and psalms, and I do the same thing. I allow God to use my creativity in music and in poetry to advocate David had to fight a big giant named Goliath. If you remember in the Bible, Goliath was coming. He was terrorizing their community for 40 days. He was coming and terrorizing them. And that's what I feel like gun violence has done to me since the death of my son. I feel like David, like when everybody was standing around trying to see who was going to go fight this Goliath. And, you had politicians, kings, and everybody, was standing on the outskirts. And King Saul asked, like, who would go fight? And I feel like I'm that person, like David, inexperienced fighter, but I know that God, just like David, God has helped me to win in many battles in different areas of my life. So I trust him to go against this giant. But I know that this is something that I cannot do alone.
My son, Corbin Johnson, he was a victim of gun violence, and it really has affected my life in more ways than one. It's very hard to lose your child to gun violence, but each day I'm making it through, and I'm just hoping that it will be justice for him, because he did not deserve that.
There's got to be something done with gun violence, with the children, with the mentally ill, and so on. We need to support healthier living and making the right choices and mental health for all involved that commit these heinous crimes.
That moment changed my life forever. I then became not only an advocate of gun violence, but I also became a grandmother who's now raising two of my grandchildren, Royce and Roy, who are now 9 and 12 years old. I sit here today advocating for not one more parent to have the experience that I've had in losing and burying not one, but two children at one time. This is a place no one should want to be, nor should you have to be.
Today I'm here to help stop and end gun violence as this continue to be a plague within our community.
This is a valley that we all hate to go in. It's a valley of gun violence, of gangs, of poverty, of absent fathers, of drugs, of drill music, and just things that I didn't really want to go down into. But I know in order to accomplish this battle, in order to defeat this Goliath, I was going to have to go into unknown territories. And that's where I'm at today. My life, I would say, in a battle to make sure that my son's memory lives on.
Since losing my son, Corbin, I started a foundation in his name. It's called Loving Mother Marys, and Marys is an acronym. It's Mothers Are Raising Your Sons. It definitely is a support group of mothers like myself who've lost their children or lost a friend or family. We are a group of ladies that we come together monthly, and we meet and we love on each other and we hug on each other, and we actually do support each other through this very difficult time of losing our loved one or losing our child.
And in the people who have joined with, these people have also been impacted by gun violence. The people who have chosen to come and do this PSA with me, we've all been impacted by gun violence, and we've all decided to be like David and to take up our swords and to go and fight this Goliath. And David didn't have a sword, he had a stone. And if you remember in the Bible, he took that stone and he slung it and it hit Goliath in the head. To me, that's the mind. And that's what we need to do. We need to find children, and we need to be able to re-educate our kids. We need to show them that there's better things to do than join gangs, better music to listen to than drill music, better videos to watch than the videos that promote violence. David never went to the battle with his mouth closed. He went and he prayed to God, and he told Goliath exactly what he was going to do. And that's what we have to do. It's time out for silence. It's time for us to raise our voices and fight against this Goliath. And so that's why I chose Psalms 23. Because just like David, we have to go into this valley. Just like David, we have to trust God. And so here's our prayer for today. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters.
He restores my soul. He leads me down the path of righteousness for his name's sake.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For God is with me. His rod and his staff, they comfort me.
He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. He anoints my head with oil, for my cup runneth over.
Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Amen. For Jacayla Hicks.
Amen.
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 Amen. And remember, even though the weapons form, they don't have to prosper. No weapon shall prosper. Incorporated needs your help to come into this valley to help us fight. To contact us to see how you can further help or make donations, go to NWSPJax.org. Once again, that's NWSPJax.org.